PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News. We have a great show for you tonight with stories from our communities. We'll meet some traveling scholars who visited Plymouth Plantation, catch up with a cultural bus tour, and get a behind-the-scenes look at the making of a parade float.
We'll hear two stories in regards to Route 53 and future plans for both Duxbury and Pembroke intersections.
Health and Wellness brings us exercise for kids from Plymouth Fitness, and Town Talk is from Plymouth.
We begin tonight with a distracting story from Sacred Heart in Kingston. The Distractology trailer made its way to the Sacred Heart High School campus to show young drivers the severe dangers of driving while distracted. The trailer is equipped with 2 driving simulators, and students were encouraged to give it a try and hopefully walk away a little more aware of how dangerous it can be to take your eyes off the road, even for a moment. I was fortunate to be able to visit and try out this simulator for an eye-opening experience. For a limited time, students at Sacred Heart High School in Kingston got a chance to test their distracted driving skills.
So far, we're getting great kids. We're getting a lot of surprised looks on their faces. The kids are taking pretty good to it. They're taking pretty seriously. So I think it's going very good. This whole week, it's been going great. Everyone's been showing up on time, which is something good.
This is the Distractology trailer. It's a crash course on distracted driving, and I'm actually going to give this thing a shot and see how I do. I think they're going to have me try to text and drive, and I can't make any promises that it's going to be very pretty. They were nice enough to give me a test run with the simulator before throwing any curveballs at me, but my age bracket isn't necessarily the target audience for the program.
We teach students, juniors, seniors, about safe driving. We put them through the simulator, which is pretty much shows them about the safety of the road, different signs that you should look out for, people, other drivers, distractions on the road, like using the cell phone, the radio, navigation. So there's different things that you should look out for, and we teach them all that. It's a good time to start at that age because they kind of get into the habit after that of not using those kind of things.
The young drivers are usually taken aback by how quickly and easily they can get into accidents on the simulator.
They're just surprised by many things, and then when they get into the actual accident, when they either get into an accident with a car or they hit somebody, they're shocked because it actually seems so real. They've been driving for a good 10 minutes, so they're already accustomed to it, so they think it's the real thing. So the first couple of seconds they're shocked, and it surprises them. They're kind of taken off guard.
While text messaging gets most of the attention for distracted driving accidents, there are still other things that take people's eyes off the road. Meanwhile, my driving was decent in a rural setting, but took a turn for the worse in the city. I think this time I'm actually going to crash. It'll be a phenomenal crash. If you got a game, you can do that too. Oh my God! I don't think we meant that. I actually didn't mean to do that. The lesson for me was that distracted driving is dangerous no matter what your age is. So we should all be paying much closer attention to the road while we're driving. Believe it or not, I'm actually feeling a little car sick now. Reporting from Kingston, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
The town of Pembroke has been trying to get a traffic light put in for many years at the intersection of Route 53 and Pleasant Street. The process is now at a 25% completion phase, and the town is waiting for the state to further approve aspects of the project. PCN met up with Town Administrator Ed Thorne for an update.
Right now, as we stand near the intersection, we have appropriated about $150,000 for engineering, and we have submitted the 25% design plans to Mass DOT, and we've had a series of meetings with them about how they want us to proceed. One of the issues was having sidewalks constructed at the intersection, and whether or not sidewalks were going to be constructed on this side of Route 53. And it appears right now the consensus between the town and Mass DOT is that we'll extend sidewalks north on the other side of this, on this side of the street, all the way up to the Pudding Brook condominiums. There was some discussion about extending a sidewalk from the intersection south towards Route 14, but right now that's not been in the discussion anymore. So we're real pleased with that, because that would have just added even more to the design and engineering and construction as well. No, they just wanted some additional engineering. We had designed the intersection for here and also up at Water Street, and there would be sidewalks on both sides of the street going up to Water Street and to tie in both those intersections. And so we've had a series of meetings with them, and Mass DOT has taken our requests and their recommendations, and they're meshing them together, and then hopefully we'll be able to have a public hearing on the 25% design sometime after the holidays. We're hoping that we'll be able to do construction a year from now. Well, the plan that was done several years ago as part of the mitigation for Pembroke Woods was submitted in its entirety to Mass DOT without following a lot of the steps that Mass DOT requires. And so they literally took that plan and put it on the shelf, and they said, if you're going to do this intersection over again, you need to follow our rules, and we've complied. Well, I mean, we've got it going as fast as we can. I mean, this is not the only intersection project in the state. And so, we have to be cognizant of that, and the folks in this town have to realize that, we're not the only town in the Commonwealth, and this is not the only project going on in the state.
America's hometown Thanksgiving parade in Plymouth is ranked the #1 Thanksgiving parade in the nation by AOL. The work begins very early on and involves many people from Plymouth and the surrounding communities. PCN stopped into the float barn early in November to see a little of what goes into the making of this incredible event.
Obviously you can tell even here with all the people behind me. I think one of the most important thing about this event is that 99% of this gets done by volunteer help, which is kind of really, really cool. And we have people from all walks of life that do all kinds of different things who are now volunteering to put these things together. And it takes all year, and people work throughout the year, different facets of it. But right now, in the last 2 weeks, you're seeing everything that's going on. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And we have people that were engineers, people that were carpenters, people that, were accountants, but they're all here now, creating and putting these floats together. And no one knows these people. And they're just they're normal people. We have people that just moved in from New York recently here volunteering. They love it. They love being a part of the community, getting to know the community. And we have people that have been here all their lives that are here helping. So that's basically what we do here at the Float Barn. And it's just an exciting thing. And even as I'm sharing this with you, I'm inviting people because there's more years to come. We're looking forward to the years in the future as we grow and we continue to become better at what we do here. We need more and more volunteers. So if you're watching this, I'd love for more people to volunteer and to be a part of this wonderful thing for the community. So we designed the floats that they kind of pop out of my head during the year, and while I'm sleeping at night, and then we make them into reality. It's so great, the Sheehan family lets us to use this place to build them and get them all ready, and it's a wonderful thing to be able to do this, and it's a good thing for the community. I think that it's become such a tradition here in Plymouth now to come and see the Thanksgiving parade and to be a part of it in some capacity, in some way. Besides the music and all the other different things that are fun, the float, I think, is really the mainstay. I think most people always want to see what's new, what's exciting, what do they build this year, what's it going to look like, and we love to see the faces of people, and we're hoping that we'll have, for the first time, pilgrims and actual Wampanoags, Native Americans on a float depicting their very first actual feast, which is a grand, grand thing. The Plymouth to Plymouth float, which is the two lighthouses which represent the lighthouse here in Plymouth and the lighthouse in Plymouth, UK. In England, and we're going to have students students come here from the United Kingdom, from Plymouth, that will be here with our students, and they'll be marching and being with that float, depicting the history between the two, towns and why it makes such a difference where the Mayflower left from and ended up here in Plymouth, Mass. So I just think those are all wonderful things. And of course, the float that you're seeing behind me being taken apart, that was the Boston Strong float last year, will become the new theme float for us, which is called History Comes Alive. It's almost good that you're seeing it now, because you'll see it transform 2 weeks from now to what it's going to become. Telling the history and why history is so important, because that is our event. We tell America's history in every way. We try to bring to life, and really we want people to think when they come to Plymouth that the streets, literally people just jump out of the history books and onto the sidewalks and make it alive for them, make it real for them. And for young kids and families, it's a great educational thing, yet a fun thing at the same time. And to being with your family through the Thanksgiving holidays, all those things are really what we value and we think is really, really important. That's why we do what we do. So each float will have different people, different things on it, and they all have varied stories. So we want people to come and enjoy and see all that it is, the day of the parade.
Where Route 53 and Winter Street in Duxbury meet is known to be a very dangerous intersection. Plans to insert a roundabout have been proposed by the state and will cost about $1.2 million. PCN met up with Duxbury's DPW director at the site to hear more about the proposed plans and the timeline for completion.
Well, it's actually been in the works with the state for years on what they call the TIP, which is the Transportation Improvement Program. Obviously, work was slowed during the recession of 2008 when funds became tight, but it has been discussed for multiple years now. What's going to happen in the next month or so is a lot of these poles will be repositioned around the intersection. There'll also be some small things like hydrants moved. There were areas where property had to be taken by the state with different residents. So what you'll probably see is the clearing and the pole moving take place in the next month or so. Don't think the real meat of the project will start until the spring, when they can actually do paving work and that type of thing. I'm sure a lot of people can see the traffic does move quite fast here. A big problem that happens is a lot of people who end up crossing the intersection end up misjudging how fast the traffic is coming in either direction. So there has been numerous serious accidents here, and that is the nature of the project of putting a roundabout in. It's a speed reduction type of project, and hopefully slow people down through this stretch. This was a decision that was made strictly by the state because it is state property. Yeah, you can see some of the survey stakes. This is areas where there'll be. This is probably the stakes that you're seeing with the flagging is probably the edge of the layout of the project. I don't think you'll see, stuff pushed back quite that far, but obviously they have to define where the edge of the development will be. I don't know what to think or how it's going to be received. I'm sure there'll be a period of people getting used to it. I think once that period goes through, I think it'll go a lot smoother after that. People that aren't used to driving the road all the time will be, I think, pretty surprised when they do see it for the first time, but hopefully it will have the effect they want it to do, and that is to slow and calm traffic.
The National Endowment for the Humanities funded a gathering of scholars at the Plymouth Plantation. This was a two-day seminar designed to discuss ways to reshape the vision for the plantation as it moves forward into the future. PCN spoke with organizers of the event to learn more.
17 scholars of colonial and Native American history have gathered at Plymouth Plantation for 2 days to help the museum reimagine its future and to make certain that everything we are presenting to the public matches current scholarship. This was funded by the National Endowment for the Humanities and is a significant gift in the history of the museum. This afternoon we're going to be talking about spirituality in 17th century Plymouth Colony. The conference is addressing key moments of American history. The arrival of the Pilgrims in the Mayflower Compact, the first treaty signed between Massasoit and Governor Carver, and the impact that they've had on American history. For many years, Plymouth Plantation has focused strictly on the first decade of settlement. But we are now addressing the question of taking much more of the 17th century and representing it for our guests.
We are really focusing today and tomorrow in our panels on the nature of communities. All the communities that were here in the Plymouth area in southeastern Massachusetts in the 17th century. Wampanoag communities, English communities, as well as traders and fishermen who were here.
The conference is of critical importance to Plymouth Plantation because it's going to shape where the museum goes over the next 5 to 6 years and will inform the 2020 celebration of the 400th anniversary of Mayflower's landing.
I'm hopeful that we will start to really focus on meeting our guests where they are and really helping them create an individual experience that explores the topics that they're interested in.
I am one of the organizers of the conference, so I am benefiting from it. I have the chance to spend 2 days listening to the greatest minds who explore our period. So I'm not here as a teacher, I'm here as a student.
I hope people will really feel energized by Plymouth Plantation as a center for learning about the 17th century, the history, the historical technologies and trades here, and really the communities that were formed in that period.
The South Shore Conservatory recently sponsored the South Shore Chamber's Cultural Bus Tour, which made its way through downtown Plymouth on one of its stops. Folks on board were able to soak in a little bit of the art and music on a beautiful fall day in America's hometown. PCN was there to cover the story.
Today, Plymouth Center for the Arts hosted the South Shore Chamber Cultural Bus Tour. We had many of our very talented artists in the building, and there were about 60 visitors that came to visit us. This building is a very old building, and it's a very special building to the town of Plymouth. It is part of the Plymouth Guild's mission to be able to share art with the community, and today we were able to do that with folks that have never been here before.
South Shore Conservatory is the largest community music school here in Massachusetts and a very proud sponsor and organizer of the South Shore Chamber Cultural Bus Tour this week. We thought it really important to get the word out that arts matters. Arts matters to everyone, no matter what business you're in, no matter what age you're in, no matter what ability you have. Arts can really make a significant and positive impact on your life.
We are just new. We're only 8 years old, and the exposure today was something that really made a huge difference because the comments from many of the folks was, gee, we didn't even know you were here. So we were very excited about that, and we look forward to seeing many of them back here at our doors to be part of our classes, to be part of our exhibits and our events, and our artisan shop, which is brand new.
They say not a smile is difficult to find, especially in the struggle someday.
The purpose of today's cultural bus tour was really to allow people from outside the area to come down and see what's going on from a cultural perspective in Plymouth and surrounding towns. And for us, I think it was a great opportunity because people aren't aware of live music as they used to be. And we're presenting live music for the last 6 months. It was a great way for us to get that message out because there's a whole lot better stuff to do on the weekend here than just sitting home and watching TV or going to a bar. So I think with that we really succeeded. We had great entertainment with Haley Sabella performing, and they got to see a dynamite place to see and hear music and plays for that matter.
Our health and wellness segment brings us to Plymouth Fitness for a kid's point of view.
I'm Linda Granada, and this is your PACTV Health and Wellness segment. Our kids class here today is our Fit Kids class, and depending on the day, we have a variety of different activities that we do with the children. There are lots of different tag games, that we have fitness circuits sometimes. Today our plan is to do some different Halloween type activities. We have a tag game that involves toothbrushing and dental hygiene in regards to all the candy that they're probably going to be eating with trick-or-treating coming up soon.
Toothbrush tag. This has to do with the fact that later on this week, a lot of you are going to have a lot of need to brush your teeth. Why are we going to have a lot of need to brush our teeth later this week?
Our toothbrush tag game is one where we have plaque monsters that run around carrying the foam balls that are the gum balls, and we have the dentists that run around with the giant toothbrushes, and the plaque monsters tag you, and that represents that you've just eaten the candy or the gum balls, and the dentists run around and tag you with the toothbrush to rescue you, which is basically reminding you to brush your teeth. We also have a trick-or-treating game where the kids will be trick-or-treating for Halloween candy, which is basically just a bunch of different toys and other objects. They have to gather them from around the room, and they're competing with other teams to end up with more of the candy or treats for the trick-or-treating. We teach children to be physically active and try to get them involved. Most kids like to be physically active, especially if it's something that's fun, and especially if they're involved with other children or with their family. If you can find a way to make it fun, they're going to really enjoy it. It is so important, though, to get them being active. It starts at a young age to start that habit of being active and continuing that for a lifetime. Healthy now, hopefully healthy later. This is Linda Granada, and this has been your PACTV Health and Wellness segment.
Town Talk this week takes us to Plymouth Town Hall for an update.
Today we're going to talk about some of the good things that are happening in the town of Plymouth. And the first one is the shellfish beds. I think a lot of our residents saw that we were able to reopen the shellfish beds that have been closed for a long time off of Long Beach. Now that season has just closed, but we are very proud and happy to see the number of participants that actually went out there and did clamming and gathered their buckets. It was good news for all of us. Season will reopen again in the late spring, and we anticipate that those beds are pretty full, so we're going to have a lot of people that will buy shellfish licenses. Also, I wanted to speak a little bit about Water Street improvements. Although I know the traffic and the inconvenience has been difficult for a lot of people, the Water Street Culvert project was a very large success, something that was overdue in the community, and we were pleased that we received so much support, particularly financial support for the project. That has now been completed. There'll be small things that we'll need to do around the area, but we always wanted to make sure that we could get that reopened in time for things like the parade. We also knew from the phone calls, and because we anticipated how much that street is used, that it would be a problem for some of the businesses in the area as well as the through traffic. But some of the longer-term Water Street projects that we're looking at are, of course, the sewer. That's something that needs to be done. It's one of the toughest areas to work in, so it's something that we have to look at closely. We made an attempt, as many of you know, last year. We weren't successful, so we will be looking at that project again. And then overall Water Street improvements, which will include better lighting, looking at how it's laid out, where the parking falls. It's called the Water Street Promenade. The DPW director, Jonathan Beater, has held a couple open sessions with the public to go over what could this look like, what will it entail, how much money is it, and where will we find the funding. As many of you know, we look at the possibilities of grant funding or other funding sources besides taxes very often. We weren't successful with this first round of grant applications for what's called a MassWorks grant. We were hoping to get some of the money for the Water Street Promenade. But that's not going to set us back. We'll continue to apply for applications. We'll bring a portion of the project to the Springtown meeting. We are moving forward with looking at what will it cost to put the utilities underground in that area. We know it will look more beautiful, but is it worth that price? We're also really pleased to announce that we have received our conditional approval from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection to do the police station parking lot. We have talked to many of you about this for a while. We know that there is waste under the police station and that some of that gas is migrating both towards the structure, towards the police station itself, into the outer areas. So Mass DEP has approved our plan. We are thankful that town meeting supported us on this a year ago, and we hope to have a shovel in the ground any day now. The bids have gone out. They are back in. We should be signing a contract shortly, and we'll get that area cleaned up. So it's nice to be able to appear on the show and talk about some of the better projects that are going on in the community. And although the inconvenience in traffic patterns is something we know we have to deal with and mitigate as much as possible, I think that you are going to be proud of the community when you see the number of improvements that we're able to do over the next couple of years. And again, if anyone ever has questions about the projects going on or what we're doing or what we have planned, I hope that you would reach out to Jonathan Beater, the DPW director, or you can reach out to town management, either myself or the assistant town manager at any time. We're right at Town Hall on the 3rd floor.
Thanks for watching this week's show. Replay times are listed on our website, PACTV.org, or you can catch us on YouTube by searching for the PACTV Community News Channel.
Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to receive previews and links to all our stories.
A new PCN In-Depth episode will air on Friday, November 21st at 7 p.m. on your public access channel, and we're focusing on preparing for college. We'll have experts in the field who will discuss everything from the application process to finances for young people.
We will not have a show next week as PACTV brings you coverage of America's hometown Thanksgiving parade, but we will be back in early December for another episode of PCN. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.